Good morning, dear friends. And the summer is over, but yesterday review we dedicated to Charlie Chaplin, born in 1889 in April, the same month and year, 4 days apart from someone whose life definitely caused a lot of sorrow, which was Hitler, and Chaplin, vice versa, brought a lot of beauty and laughter to the world, and went from truly rags to riches, becoming at 26 the most highly paid, one of the most highly paid people in the world, and moving movies not only from comedy but also into drama, with a lot of innovations through his hard work and dedication to his craft, and becoming so famous that after he died, a year afterwards, two grave robbers took out his body and held it for ransom. They were caught by the police, and the body was reinterred. But today we're talking about someone by the name of David Marcus, who also came from rags to riches, was born in 1902, died tragically in 1948. David Marcus was truly an amazing person. He excelled in everything that he did, in everything. And similarly to Charlie Chaplin, he was born, by the way, February 22nd, the same day that our first president, Washington, was born on. So anyway, not that the date matters. I think what we do with our life, our upbringing, our conviction, principles, and how we stick with them, that's really what defines us. So anyway, he was from a poor Jewish family that emigrated to New York from Romania, 1 out of 5 children. He became the number one student in his high school, and he could have gone to any college he wanted to. He was the star of his basketball, baseball, football team, track and field team, all-around athlete. He ended up surprising his family in 1920 when he went into West Point. Over there also was the best student, received the highest honors, and later on married his sweetheart and moved to New York, refusing a Rhodes Scholar to go to Oxford. He studied law at night, became a very successful lawyer, went to work as a commissioner and then the head of the commission by Governor Laguardia, who assigned him to that position. And then when the World War II started, he re-enlisted and trained in Oahu in Hawaii, training the soldiers. And then when D-Day was taking place, even though he never really parachuted, he parachuted down with the 101st Division and Airborne Division into Normandy, he was awarded by the British, awarded by the Americans multiple medals of honor, and then he went back to Israel. In November, Israel was recognized by the post. Oh yeah, and he also got a chance to free Dachau concentration camp, and there he saw the horrors and became convinced about the need for the Jewish state. Okay, Ross probably didn't get my text. We're gonna run together, so I'll get a chance to talk to you more a little bit about this amazing person. So thank you for coming on the jog with me, guys. And since there's a little rain, as my friend Ross likes to say, the ground is a little easier to run on, so hopefully I don't shake as much. Wow, look at that wind. The skies, you can't see the sun or anything. Just all of it a haze, but anyway. So once Israel was announced, the Palestinian Arabs right away attacked a Jewish bus, killing many Jews, and they're trying to isolate the Jewish settlements, harassing them in preparation for the Arab organized armies that would come in and squash the Jewish state. And so David Ben-Gurion, who was the Prime Minister of Israel, sent emissaries to the United States to help find people who would be willing to come and join. And if any of you saw the beautiful movie Exodus, based on the book by Leon Uris, highly recommend it. Both the movie and the book. I mean, the movie now, when you look at it, it's a little slow paced. It's got Paul Newman, who was also through his father Jewish, playing the main role, and he's actually playing partly, his story is being David Marcus. So anyway, so David Marcus, Colonel Marcus, as David Ben-Gurion would say, was the only person who answered the call. Many could have, as he said, but he's the only one who answered the call and agreed to come in to help the new Jewish state. And so he came to Israel and became the first aluf, the first general. And since Judah the Maccabee, who we had spoken to, dedicated one of our runs to, who was the hero of the holiday of lights of Hanukkah. Anyway, so he changed a lot of the manuals, updated them, the training, helping to organize the different Jewish underground groups into a cohesive army. And then left to the United States for vacation and came in the day before the announcement of Israel independence. And at night they celebrated. In the morning 5 different armies entered, trying to quash the Israel, who was outmanned, outgunned, outnumbered. And the most difficult parts were in the Negev, in the desert, in the south, and with the Arab legions in Jordan who were both trained and manned by British army officers who, even though it was inappropriate, had surrendered many of their locations, towers, citadels to the Arabs as they left the country. And he helped organize what was later on called the Beasts of the Negev, which was little jeeps and vehicles that housed soldiers that would be driving through and shooting, kind of like the riding horses and firing while riding the horses in the Genghis Khan era, centuries before. And they really succeeded, brought up the morale of the soldiers. But another problem was Jerusalem. They tried many times to break a road to Old Jerusalem, but they couldn't. And the Arab Legion, the Jordanian forces, were intent on starving and destroying the Old Jerusalem. Was starved, and eventually there were really mostly old people left over there, and very few soldiers that held without food, ammunition, little kids running the ammunition between the soldiers. One of them, what a tragic story, I think he was 10 years old, can't recall now his name. As he was running the ammunition, he was shot by a sniper, a Jordanian sniper, and he did not call for help. He did not call for help because he knew the Jordanian wounded him on purpose, so that as the soldiers would try and help him, pull him out, they will shoot them too. That was a common tactic that the Arabs used and still do use right now, as they know that for Jews the life is so important that they would risk their life to save that of their fellows, unlike when they fight. So anyway, he did not call for help. Later on they discovered that he died from bleeding for a non-life-threatening wound. I'm not the only one coming out here in the middle of the rain. Хорошего дня вам. Да, выглядит так. Anyway, so let me tell you, it's very invigorating to run here in the rain. It's beautiful. Anyway, back to our Mickey and where was I? Yes. So the modern, the not Old Jerusalem, but the New Jerusalem was also being isolated, and there were over 85,000 Jews in the new city of Jerusalem, and the road to Burma, the road to Jerusalem, to the New Jerusalem, was also blockaded by the armies, and they couldn't pass through. There's many stories about the attempts and how they were killed, whether they were ambulances and the doctors on the way were killed, even though it was clearly Red Cross. And this was an impossible way to break it. And so David Ben-Gurion put David Marcus in charge of finding a path and saving the Jews in the new quarters in New Jerusalem. And while on leave, 3 Israeli soldiers found walking from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. Not too many people do it nowadays, but anyway, they found a goat path. It was made by the Romans a long time ago. And he said, you know what, we gotta check it out. Because maybe we can enlarge it so we can pass vehicles. Well, a UN brokered peace was fast approaching, and they had to find a path before it starts, because once not the peace, but the, whatever they call it, the lull in the fire, ceasefire, would start, they would not be allowed to build anything, construct anything. So he had only a few days. He prepared all the people, and they're very careful, dynamiting and changing and enlarging the road. And on the 1948, on the 9th of don't remember what month it was. Anyway, he was able to make the Burma Road and brought water and supplies to the beleaguered Jews, in effect saving the spiritual center of the new Jewish state, while he was next to his center of command post. New young soldier, not very experienced, was manning, looking for Arab terrorists, and he saw in the darkness a figure. He asked him, what's the sisma? What is the passcode? And he said to him something in English. I mean, the war was over, there was, for a time there was jubilation, and he was scared, shot him, and killed him on the spot. Yeah, he was, he died, and unfortunately was the first casualty of the war during peacetime of the independent Jewish state, and his body was buried in West Point. He was the only soldier to ever be buried at West Point with full military, by the way, honors, who died fighting under a different country's flag. His tombstone is made out of Jerusalem limestone, a special colored stone of Jerusalem, white stone, from which many of the buildings are built over there. Same color as the wall, Wailing Wall, Western Wall, that's remaining part of the Jewish Beit HaMikdash walls. So David Marcus, by the way, I forgot to mention also, while he was at West Point, became the intramural champion in boxing. He picked up boxing, she didn't do before, and was offered to represent the US Olympic team in the 1924 Olympics. And I want to remember him for his commitment, for his bravery, for his lion heart, and for number one, being a human. So when we remember people who I think bring part of their energy, their chi down to earth to inhabit this beautiful planet, to help make it a better place for us all. So yeah, there's something else I want to say about him, but I'm blocking. So have a lovely day, everybody, and stick to your principles, because if he made it, so can you. Take care.